Go ahead, Helen.
Regarding tonight's curriculum vote, as I said last week, I would like to thank Mr. Sutherland, Mr. Rashika, subject supervisors, and teachers who worked to revise the curriculum. There is a lot of misinformation and confusion about the diversity and inclusion requirements. I trust that the confusion has been clarified through the recent discussions. As a board member, I took an oath that states, I will make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children, and I will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children, regardless of the ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing. I believe our community does not want anyone to suffer any form of intolerance, most especially our most precious residents, our children. We are very lucky to have talented teachers, amazing district resources, great extracurriculars through clubs and athletics, and an active, caring parent community that all helps provide the foundations of a community that welcomes and cares for each other, no matter what race, creed, sexual orientation, ethnicity, or disability. For example, at last week's board meeting, I was appalled at the comment made by a member of the public using a religious slur. This is the type of commentary that brings hate into our community, and hate does not belong in our schools. Thank you.
Okay.
In terms of my committee meeting, the next one will be on September 9th. We will be discussing the potential meet and greet schedule for September, and we'll solidify a date.
Thank you. John Carolyn isn't here today. We'll go to James.
Mr. Forger, John did ask me to read a statement on his behalf.
Can you read it in your time when I call on you?
If you'd like, I can do that.
Okay, thank you. James?
Yes, we just had a committee meeting on Thursday, and
louder.
Sorry. We had a committee meeting on Thursday, and we had discussed what was on the agenda for tonight regarding personnel, and we also have we discussed putting together a meeting for this coming week to discuss some additional matters.
Thank you, James. Robert.
Thank you. Nothing for negotiations. This is a statement by John Carolyn, who couldn't be here this evening. I'm going to read this, then I have a statement of my own. From John Carolyn, my apologies for not being able to communicate this in person, as I am bringing my daughter to college this evening. As some of you may know, I am employed by a vaccine manufacturer. Since no agenda items listing vaccines were on last Monday's agenda, I did not have an opportunity to share my position. I had always planned to recuse myself from any decisions before the board that involve vaccines. Therefore, I will share this position now with the board and the public and inform the board secretary that I am recusing myself from any agenda items that involve decisions about vaccines. John Carolyn. And this statement is for myself. I wanted to address the members of the general public. The board and several board members, including myself, have come under criticism, not without justification, for behavior exhibited at the last Board of Education meeting. I believe that the public deserves an explanation, at least as this board member sees it, as to the reasons that the last meeting deteriorated in the manner that it did. For at least the past several meetings, it is my opinion that there has been a concerted effort by a minority of this board, including the president and vice president, to suppress opinions and statements of other board members that differ from theirs. This minority has cited technical deficiencies in the wording and timing of motions in an attempt to prevent certain motions from coming before the board for a vote. I thought this was particularly evident at the meeting last Monday when Mr. Kinney, in a respectful and appropriate manner, made a motion to schedule a special follow-up meeting to vote on the curriculum. The president and vice president refused to entertain the motion, claiming without justification that the motion was technically deficient because it specified the date and time the meeting should be held. As a result, the board majority was forced, yes, forced is the correct word, to sign a petition in open public requiring the board president to schedule tonight's meeting. You should know that attempts were made without success to have Ms. LaForgia schedule a follow-up meeting to vote on the curriculum before last week's meeting even ever occurred. Because she would not, Mr. Kinney was forced to have a pre-prepared written petition in hand at that meeting. It is probably no secret that the president and vice president are opposed to the curriculum. Well, you know now they are. That is their prerogative. However, it is not their prerogative to stall a vote on the curriculum indefinitely because they do not have the votes to defeat it. This was the primary source of my anger and frustration at the last meeting. I, for one, believe that whether you are for or against the curriculum, the board owes an obligation to the students, the administration who prepared it, and the public that it be voted on, either up or down, before the start of the school year. Unfortunately, this was not the first time, in my opinion, that this board minority has made attempts to steer and control board policy in opposition to the majority view. While I have differing views from many members of this board at different times and on different subjects, every board member has the right, even an obligation at times, as an elected member of the communities we represent, to voice those views. This board member, at least, can no longer sit quietly by and allow a minority of this board to attempt to suppress these opposing views. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. John Kinney?
No comment. Strategic planning is on the 8th at 5:30.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. King?
The mission of the Ramapo Indian Hills Regional High School District is to establish and maintain education programs that support effective teaching and meaningful learning, to provide a caring and nurturing environment that encourages all students to achieve to their maximum potential, to promote this mission efficiently within the resources available to the district. Indian Hills High School and Ramapo High School are committed to providing every student with the opportunity to achieve his or her individual learning potential. Equally important, we seek to instill in each student respect for all individuals and a sense of duty to the community. That is our district philosophy. I wanted to take this opportunity to remind everyone that we were elected by the people of our respective towns to ensure that the professionals tasked with educating all of our students are doing so within the scope of the district philosophy. I am here today to tell you that I give our administration my full support of the curriculum changes and enhancements. I believe that this curriculum will foster an environment of diversity, inclusion, and understanding. I believe that this curriculum will give our students the tools necessary to be better critical thinkers while also giving them an opportunity to thrive in the world after they leave our district. I want to state again, just as I did last week, that we are not teaching critical race theory, and CRT is not diversity and inclusion. It is not DEI light, and it is not in any way going to make your child something he, she, or they are not. What?
Okay, give her time to speak,
Can we
please.
show some respect, please?
Please.
Can we show some respect,
Okay.
please?
Vivian?
What diversity and inclusion will do is show your child that they are one of many in the world who is different, and those differences are what makes each and every student in our district special. We have an obligation to prepare our students for whatever lies ahead of them after high school. We are not a political organization, and it is time that we stop politicizing our education. This is not about politics. This is about our students. Lastly, I'd like to thank Mr. Sutherland, our subject supervisors, and the many teachers who worked hard to meet the state-mandated curriculum changes so that we could maintain that high score we have worked so hard to attain. Thank you.
Okay, seriously?
Really?
Thank you, Mrs. King. Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes, so I gave sort of my political policy, can you hear me?
Yeah.
My policy, legislative, and litigation committee update sort of before when Ms. LaForgia had referred a question to me. We will be meeting on Friday, and we have a number of policies that we have to address. Board members, we are still behind. That's because Mr. Rashika, unfortunately, I'm still not clear why, did not start sending me policies in my role as chair until late April, early May of this year. So we are a little bit behind, and I'm trying to have the meetings. In my view, we need to have them every week, but Mr. Fortunato, who's on my committee, is sometimes not available. although he has made best efforts to attend. We really do need to meet weekly at this point because we are so behind in writing these policies. And so that is something I want to say publicly. With respect to the efforts by the board to give the public a little bit more time, I maintain that there was no backdoor agreement to try to stall this. In fact, the president, in my view, made every attempt to include everyone. And even me, I felt rushed, and I still feel rushed, which is why I voted no. In my view, the president is to properly explain the vote. The curriculum was approved. I voted against it. Mr. Budo voted against it, and Ms. LaForgia voted against it. And the rest of the board members voted for it. Finally, I'm looking forward to moving forward with the RFQs for the reviews of hiring board counsel. It's nothing against our current board counsel. It's that we haven't gone out to public for bidding, or if you will, a request for qualifications for 12 years. And I think we need to do that a little bit more often. I had suggested that last year. With respect to just engaging in that process. You know, things have changed dramatically over the past 12 years in the landscape of lawyers, and I'm looking forward to reviewing those proposals, which have been sitting on our desk since March. So a little bit about that. I do still have concerns that, the public might be left with the wrong impression that we were trying to, or a minority was trying to prevent things from happening or twist rules. So here's the thing about rules. So when our students violate rules, right, we hold them right to those rules. But when board members, in my view, use rules to achieve certain agendas, and that's okay, because golly shucks, we're just trying to open the schools, that's troublesome to me. And I do think that in an organized society, we need to follow rules. And if you look at the policies, you can see even policy 2210 has a plethora of obligations that the board has to consider when approving curriculum. It's not something that we just default to the teachers and supervisors. And to be honest, if there is nothing wrong, if they can justify everything that they're doing, then they should feel absolutely comfortable talking to us about that. They should feel absolutely happy and thrilled that there are parents, that there are board members. I haven't felt anything differently in terms of my personal experience, except for the fact that I was not permitted to have parent forms. That worried me. I said that before. I was not permitted to download things. I'm still not permitted to understand what the results of my inquiries were, just so that I have an answer. So please, in my view, don't think that there was some kind of sub-agenda. If I was a participant, which I think I've been accused, but I'm not sure, I was not participating in any kind of sub-agenda. I was genuinely exercising my academic skills, which I believe I was voted for twice to do that, to bring that expertise to the board. And I think I have a duty to do that. So I'm sorry that some of our other board members think that. It's absolutely not true. I can only speak for myself. I don't think it's true with respect to our president and our vice president. She was duly elected by the chair, just like Mr. Kinney was elected last year. And I think she's doing a great job. And I think our vice president is doing a great job.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan.